Welcome to the weekly look ahead, where we take a look at gold, dollar, a couple exchanges, and Bitcoin. Also, make sure to like and subscribe so you get these updates as they're released. Now let's look ahead. Welcome everyone to the weekly look ahead. This is for the week of March 31st, 2025. So this is going to be a big week, everyone, and it's going to tell us what the markets are going to do next. But we're going to see if we can kind of front run this a little bit to figure out what markets are going to do and what we need to be watching for in this coming week. What's so big about this week is that on April 2nd, the current administration is going to reveal their tariffs and what they're going to tariff and what they're not going to tariff and how much they're going to tariff. So the Trump administration is going to put forth a clear plan on what they're going to do. This should either give market settlement or market panic. And we're going to figure out which one of those it's going to do by looking at the charts or has the probability of doing. So we're going to look at gold first here. We see gold is now at new all-time highs. It's at the top of the channel, even protruding through the top of the channel. So this is one key thing we want to watch for here. So this week, we thought it was going to hold a little bit at the channel, pull back. It did not do that. It broke through and closed solid. Now you see by the look of the weekly candle, we see that there's a very small wick at the base and there is practically no wick at the top. This is an indication of very strong momentum in the move, and that this is pushing through and is looking like it's next week going to continue up. Now, there may be a point in time next week where we have a retest. So we got to prepare for that, where we may get a pullback, a retest on the channel, and then a continuation up, or we will have where we continue up and retest like this in the following weeks. But nonetheless, this is a very strong candle, and it gives an indication of continuation in gold. So we're looking for any pullbacks in gold to be a buy next week. On the Dixie, we were looking for a further pullback. So far, we have not gotten that. We have stayed in a very minimal pullback in Dixie. One of the things about higher tariffs, it causes dollar strength to go down. So we're looking at any pullbacks now as a move to the downside. I'm hoping we get a stronger pullback, maybe back up to in the neighborhood of 105.37. But the candles have been looking very, very weak and probably won't get that. But if we do, look for shorting it at those zones, or you could look for shorting it after we break support here and do retest, down, retest, and then down. But in any case, we're still bearish on dollar overall. We're looking for a bull side last week for a pullback. It did not materialize. So a continuation of a view of pullbacks, looking for downside moves on dollar. Next, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks heavy. Was again expecting a bigger pullback on this, but it looks like we could swing down and break this structure. Now, if we break this structure here, we're looking at a move down to 63. That's about 63,000, 64,000 range down there. So be prepared for that. Again, we need to break this structure first. And if it breaks, that's where we're headed. If we come down and hold, we're heading back up, and we'd be making a new higher high, which would be about 126. So that's what we're looking for. A big week here for everything. We're right at the levels. So we're going to see if they break or if they hold. Now, one of the plays here on the NASDAQ that is giving me pause that more that we're going to break and go to the downside is the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ, it really deals with a lot of tech companies, and really that is the premium for future moves in the indexes and the asset class. That is the biggest one. And we're seeing now at the close of this week, we're seeing we had a break, a pullback, and now we're closing below this channel. And this is an outside candle. So this is a pretty powerful candle to telling us that we're going to have continuation to the downside. If that is the case, then what we would see is a continuation downside in Bitcoin. We see a continuation downside in the dollar and a continuation the upside in gold. And so this is a pretty big deal here. So this is why I'm more on the side that markets continue on their downside trajectory. And I'm also going to show that to you. I'm going to do the SPY this week, or the SPX and 500, and going to show you that as well. But again, I'm looking for continuation to the downside. When we get down the weeds here, we bumped up, we pulled back, and we had this breaking yesterday, and it did break. We have a continuation to the downside. So the retest is done. The trade is in. Any pullback going short this week on the NASDAQ. Again, here's the S&P 500. I wanted to show you on this as well, how we have broken this channel. Now, this channel is a long-standing channel from the move up in October. So I'm looking for continuation to the downside, looking for the next spot of support around 5,300, 5,307, somewhere in there on the on the S&P. So this is a clear indication that we've got some downside potential here on the indexes. We're going to see that the same thing with the Dow. It's going to be a little different setup, but you're going to see it as well for continuation to downside. So here's the Dow, and like I said, it's a little different. We have this channel line here. This is from the 2003 right here, bottom, and then we had a 2022 bottom here. But this has kind of it's kind of been a front runner and a delayer. We usually use this as kind of to give us some indication of the future. But we have a double top here. We've broken, we've come back, we've retested, we're heading to the downside. I'm looking for the next spot somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40,220. So any pullbacks this week, look for a short on the Dow. So this completes this week's look ahead. I hope this gives you assistance during your trading this week and gives you kind of a clear picture of what's happening. Now, remember, markets can do anything, and we have a lot of news coming out this week that could really change the direction of markets. So if the news is favorable to markets, look for all this to change and markets to start to climb back up. But in my opinion, I think the Trump administration is really going to hammer down on these tariffs, and it's going to cause a lot of uncertainty in the markets, which is, for markets, that means we're going to have risk coming off. And when we have risk coming off, that means indexes go down, and generally dollar goes up. But in this case, because of the tariffs, dollar is going to be probably heading down, and gold is going to be the champion going forward. So look for that scenario to kind of play out this week. We'll take a look at it next week, but we're going to watch this day by day with the daily look aheads and see where we're at in the process and take advantage of it. If you really want to know how to learn how to trade and run trading as a business and do it on a consistent basis and make that your livelihood, come and take a look at us, join for free, and participate in the conversations, the talks on our platform, ask questions, and get to be introduced to some of the ways we teach our courses and how they're very personal yet on a group level, and how we help you through the process of learning how to trade, getting the psyche right, getting your risk right, and getting your entries right and your exits right. So take care. Hope this helps. Have a great week trading. We'll talk to you later.